Rich Eisen doesn't waste a second pointing out how Shedeur Sanders dismantled the Cleveland media's attempts to rattle him. From the first question, Sanders showed he wasn't there to entertain drama or fall into the usual rookie traps. What stood out most wasn't what he said. It was how he said it. No deflection, no blame. Just composed answers grounded in focus and team-first values. Even when questions turned toward coaching decisions or his family's involvement, Sanders didn't flinch. Eisen makes it clear. This is what NFL leadership looks like before it even gets on the...
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
This exchange isn't just about a single media appearance. It's about how Sanders is rewriting the narrative around young quarterbacks in hostile environments. He didn't just defuse media pressure. He flipped the script entirely. Eisen uses this moment to expose how the media thrives on conflict, while Sanders thrives on clarity, professionalism, and control. The bigger story isn't that he answered well. It's that he revealed the dysfunction around him without ever raising his voice. It starts with a rookie quarterback in the middle of a tough NFL season. His team isn't exactly racking up wins. The fan base is restless, and the media? Oh, they're circling like vultures. But instead of panicking or fumbling his way through interviews, Shedeur Sanders steps up to the mic and owns the moment. Rich Eisen saw it, and he didn't just praise it. He broke it down. Because what Shedeur did during that Cleveland Browns media interview wasn't just impressive. It was surgical. This wasn't some fluke soundbite. It was a full-on display of leadership, media savvy, and composure that felt more like it came from a seasoned vet than a first year. Right away, Eisen pointed out what so many missed. Shedeur didn't take the bait. You know the kind of bait we're talking about. The subtle digs. The leading questions. The ones that try to stir up family drama or pin team struggles on a young player trying to find his rhythm. The Cleveland media wasn't exactly soft-pitching him softballs. And yet, Sanders responded with complete calm. Not cocky. Not defensive. Just sharp, clear, and mature beyond his years. No blame games. No woe is me, just accountability. That's rare, especially in a league where even established players sometimes spiral under pressure. The way Shedeur handled himself, Eisen was clearly impressed, calling out his maturity and poise as a major sign of leadership. And honestly, this wasn't about throwing coaches under the bus. It wasn't about shading teammates. And it definitely wasn't about entertaining media fantasies of family interference. Because yes, those narratives are still following Shedeur, thanks mostly to who his dad is. Let's talk about that for a second. The name Sanders comes with baggage in the NFL, not because of any wrongdoing, but because the media loves a storyline. Deion Sanders is a household name, a headline magnet. And ever since Shedeur entered the spotlight, some outlets have seemed more interested in connecting things that don't exist than focusing on what's actually happening on the field. Eisen made it clear. These sabotage rumors? Total fiction. There's no grand conspiracy. No behind-the-scenes meddling from Coach Prime. What there is a young quarterback doing his job and doing it well, despite a media landscape that's way more interested in drama than development. And what's wild is how obvious that manipulation becomes when you actually watch how Shedeur answers questions. Eisen highlights this. The way Sanders anticipates the traps, stays composed, and never lets him steer the narrative away from the team. He's not playing the media's game. He's rewriting the playbook. While the Browns were stumbling through another rough stretch, Sanders was busy elevating the conversation. Eisen noted how his interviews didn't just show personal growth. They revealed a bigger issue, one that points back to how Cleveland's handled things behind the scenes. Because let's not forget, this is a franchise that didn't exactly roll out the red carpet for Shedeur. From the jump, there were doubts, hesitation, skepticism. Whether it was fair or not, coaching decisions seemed tinged with caution. He was benched, second-guessed, and not always treated like the future of the team. And that's where Rich Eisen really hits hard. He asked the question that's been bubbling beneath the surface all season. Why was there such resistance to trusting Shedeur? Was it about his last name? About fear of outside noise? Or just plain old organizational indecision? Whatever the reason, Eisen doesn't sugarcoat it. The Browns fumbled the opportunity to back their guy early, and now that Shedeur is proving his ability to handle both on-field pressure and the media circus, it's impossible not to wonder how much time was wasted. The maturity Shedeur is showing now could have been nurtured from the start. Instead, the franchise let media narratives creep in, and it's only now that they're being publicly checked. Still, there's a silver lining here. Despite the team's record, Shedeur is bringing visibility to Cleveland, relevance, fan engagement, and that's not nothing. Even Eisen emphasized this point. It's not just about wins and losses, though those clearly matter. It's about momentum, public perception, having a quarterback who can represent the franchise with composure, confidence, and charisma, even when the scoreboard isn't in your favor. Sanders is doing that right now, and he's doing it without the support systems that many young quarterbacks get in better-run organizations. No golden boy treatment, no tailored PR plan, just poise and performance. There's something bigger happening here, and Eisen's breakdown pulls back the curtain. He's not just praising Shedeur for staying cool under pressure. He's calling out the broader system that almost failed him, the media that tried to twist his words, the coaches who weren't sure what they had, the franchise that let doubt linger for too long. And here's the kicker. Sanders didn't have to say any of that himself. He didn't rant. He didn't clap back. He didn't feed the trolls. He let his answers do the talking. Straightforward, strategic, unbothered. That's what leadership looks like. And it's a masterclass for other young players on how to handle scrutiny without crumbling or lashing out. Shedeur is setting a new standard for how athletes can navigate media pressure, especially in a league where the spotlight can burn as easily as it shines. What Eisen ultimately drives home is that the Browns are at a crossroads. They can either keep doubting a quarterback who's shown nothing but professionalism, or they can finally back him fully and start building something real, something lasting. The question is whether Cleveland's leadership is ready to make that shift, or if they'll stay stuck in old patterns of hesitation and second-guessing. Because what Shedeur Sanders has already proven is this. He's not the one holding the Browns back. He's the one pushing them forward. Now, it's time for the organization to catch up. If they do, they might just unlock the kind of transformation this franchise has needed for decades. And if they don't, well, the media vultures will keep circling, and Cleveland will keep wondering why promising talent keeps slipping through their fingers. Rich Eisen's analysis isn't just a highlight reel. It's a challenge to the Browns, to the media, to everyone who still sees Shedeur Sanders as a storyline instead of a leader. And based on what we've seen, the kid's not going anywhere. He's calm. He's focused. He's ready. So what's everyone else waiting for? If you're here for the drama, the growth, and the media takedowns, this is your channel. Like the video. Drop your thoughts in the comments, especially if you think the Browns need to wake up, and don't forget to subscribe. Because in the world of sports media chaos, this won't be the last meltdown we dive into. Let's be real, most rookie quarterbacks crumble under that kind of spotlight. A few bad games, a rough press conference, and suddenly they're being dissected like a science project on sports radio. One slip-up and it's, is he really ready? Is he too cocky? Is he just riding his dad's coattails? That last one? It's the favorite. And Shedeur Sanders has heard it all. Not just the usual rookie heat, but this extra layer of scrutiny tied to his last name. Because being Deion Sanders' son doesn't just come with pressure. It comes with expectations. It comes with suspicion. Like success couldn't possibly be earned. It must be handed down. But here's the part that Eisen nailed. Shedeur never flinched. In that interview with Cleveland media, he didn't play defense. He didn't get rattled. He didn't respond like someone trying to prove something to a bunch of people who've already made up their minds. He answered with clarity, with confidence, with the kind of poise that makes you wonder how many quarterbacks in the entire league could have pulled that off. And this wasn't some one-off media hit. This was after weeks, months of second-guessing from both outside voices and people inside the Browns organization. Yeah, let's talk about that. Because Rich Eisen didn't tiptoe around it. He called it what it is. The Browns didn't trust Shedeur from the start. They hesitated. They tinkered. They treated him like an experiment instead of a long-term investment. And every time something went wrong, whether it was a blown play or a misread, it felt like the doubts got louder. Benching decisions, rotating reps, coaching hesitations that weren't exactly subtle. It was the kind of treatment that doesn't build confidence. It chips away at it. And still, Shedeur didn't break. That's what makes this whole thing so powerful. Because Rich Eisen wasn't just applauding media skills. He was pointing out something deeper, mental toughness. The kind that doesn't show up on stat sheets, but absolutely separates the flash-in-the-pan players from the true franchise leaders. You could feel Eisen's frustration, borderline disbelief, that Cleveland still hasn't fully embraced what they have in front of them. A young quarterback who can handle not just the playbook, but the politics, the pressure. Isn't that narrative? It's been stacked against Shedeur since day one. Let's not sugarcoat it. Part of this is about the NFL's obsession with pedigree, but only when it fits their mold. If Shedeur had a different last name, if he had come from a traditional football factory instead of Deion Sanders University, would the media have come at him this hard? Would the Browns have been this cautious? Eisen didn't say it directly, but the implication was loud and clear. There's a double standard, and Shedeur's been living it. The rumors about family interference? Baseless. The whispers that maybe he got special treatment because of his father? Nonsense. Eisen flat out shut that down. He reminded viewers that those narratives don't come from truth. They come from people who need a story more than they need facts. And while those people were busy speculating, Shedeur was showing up, getting reps, making plays, answering questions like a grown man, acting more like a CEO than a rookie. Meanwhile, the Browns were still deciding whether to commit. That's where Eisen's analysis hit a nerve. Because when you look at Cleveland's history, years of instability, endless quarterback turnover, drama that never seems to stop, why wouldn't you bet on someone like Shedeur? He brings maturity. He brings focus. And maybe most importantly, he brings attention. Yeah, let's go there. Because even with a mediocre record, Shedeur Sanders has made Cleveland relevant. People are talking. People are tuning in. Casual fans are suddenly interested in what's happening in a Browns game, not because of the playoff picture, but because of this one player who stands in the middle of it all with a kind of quiet magnetism the NFL hasn't seen in a minute. Eisen pointed out with the tone of someone who's been around long enough to know this isn't normal. Most rookies don't attract eyeballs. They attract excuses. But Shedeur, he's moving the needle. And that has value, not just to the brand, but to the locker room. Because when your quarterback looks unbothered, when he acts like he's been here before, even when he hasn't, it calms the entire ship. And in a franchise that's constantly on fire, that's not just helpful. That's everything. And the irony? The Browns could have had this from the beginning if they just let go of the fear, if they leaned into the momentum instead of pushing back on it. Instead, they treated Sanders like a wild card. Now, with every poised response, every mature interview, every refusal to take the media's bait, he's proving them wrong. Rich Eisen's tone wasn't just praise. It was part wake-up call, part warning. If Cleveland doesn't change how they handle this, if they don't finally lean into what they have, they'll lose more than games. They'll lose the locker room, the fan base, the credibility. And Sanders? He'll be just fine, whether it's with the Browns or someone else. Because players like him, they find a way. That's the difference between hype and substance. And Eisen made it clear, Shedeur has the substance. The Browns just need to stop being afraid of it. And listen, Eisen's not here to protect egos. He called out the Browns' coaching staff with the kind of measured frustration that comes from watching potential get mishandled for too many seasons. The cautious game planning, the fear-based decisions, the refusal to just trust. It's like they're afraid to fully commit in case it goes wrong. But in the NFL, hesitation is a mistake. And with Shedeur, that hesitation has been on full display. Benched too early. Judged too fast. Watched too closely for anything other than football. Eisen didn't let them off the hook. Because while Shedeur's growth has been on full display, the Browns' growth, not so much. It's time for a cultural shift. A real one. Not just in how the team views their young quarterback, but in how the franchise views leadership, trust, development, optics. Because what Shedeur Sanders is bringing to Cleveland isn't just athletic talent. It's a whole new tone. He's not ranting. He's not feeding the fire. He's just standing there, calm and composed, while the chaos swirls around him. And somehow, he's the one making everyone else look unprepared. That's the part Rich Eisen couldn't ignore. This isn't just about winning games. It's about building a foundation. And Shedeur's already doing his part. The only question left, will the Browns finally do theirs? Because this whole saga could still turn around. The media noise could quiet. The team could rally. The city could fall in love with its quarterback if they're given a reason to believe that the franchise believes in him, too. But until then, Shedeur's carrying it. The scrutiny, the pressure, the reputation, and somehow still the composure. So let's stop pretending this is about nepotism, or inexperience, or media hype. It's about a young man doing what most rookies can't, keeping his head when everyone around him is losing theirs. If you've been watching this unfold and thinking, wait, why isn't he getting more credit? You're not alone. Let's not forget, the NFL eats quarterbacks alive, especially young ones, especially ones who don't fit the mold. You mess up, you get replaced. You say the wrong thing, you get dragged. You dare to be confident without 10 years of resume behind you? Suddenly you're cocky, immature, entitled. And when your last name is Sanders, the target gets even bigger. That's what Rich Eisen was really getting at. This isn't just about a few good sound bites. It's about a young player standing in the middle of a media hurricane and somehow staying grounded. It's about Shedeur Sanders doing something incredibly rare, controlling the narrative without even trying to control it. Think about it. How many times have we seen the media turn on a rookie? One misunderstood quote, and it's over. The story writes itself. He's not ready. He's too emotional. He's a distraction. And it sticks, no matter what the player actually meant or said. But Shedeur's responses? They don't give the media anything to twist. There's no bait to clip, no passive aggression, no coded blame, just calm, collected clarity. It's like he studied the playbook and the press manual. And Eisen made sure you saw it, because this wasn't just an impressive rookie moment. It was a mirror held up to Cleveland Browns, to their coaching decisions, to the media culture, to every hot take artist waiting for Shedeur crack. And what they saw in that mirror wasn't what they expected. They saw someone unshakable, someone who doesn't take the low road, even when everyone around him is handing him a map. And that, right there, is what's driving people crazy. Because you know what happens when someone refuses to play into the media circus? They take away its power. And suddenly, the narrative started to look weak, manufactured, desperate. Eisen wasn't subtle. He basically said, if this is a guy you've been doubting, what does that say about you? And honestly, it's a fair question. Why wasn't Shedeur trusted from the beginning? Why did it take public poise and viral interviews for people to start taking him seriously? Is it really just about his last name? Or is it something deeper, something more uncomfortable about how we treat young black quarterbacks with famous parents' confidence in their own voice? Eisen didn't go there directly, but the subtext? It was loud. And here's the thing, the Browns had a choice. They could have embraced the moment. They could have said, yeah, we've got a guy here. Let's build around him. Instead, they hesitated. They played it safe. And in the NFL, playing it safe is how you lose. Meanwhile, Shedeur's handling questions about locker room dynamics, coaching decisions, even rumors about his own family, and doing it all with more grace than some PR-trained veterans. Eisen's right. That's not one. That's not rookie energy. That's franchise quarterback energy. And yet, it still feels like the Browns are waiting for him to prove something. What more does he have to do? He's shown accountability without ego, maturity without stiffness, leadership without theatrics. He's even given Cleveland something it hasn't had in a long, long time. Hope. That's not an exaggeration. Because even with a losing record, the buzz around this team, around Shedeur, is real. People are paying attention. National coverage, social media engagement, ticket sales, you name it. And it's not just because he's a name. It's because he's earning it. That visibility is worth something. not just to the brand, but to the city. A city that's been through so many false starts and heartbreaks and quarterback experiments that the bar is practically buried underground. Shedeur isn't promising miracles. He's not begging for love. He's just doing what professionals do, even when the people around him are still catching up. And that's the part Eisen couldn't let slide. Because this kid shouldn't be doing this alone. He shouldn't be fighting media narratives with zero backup from the team that's supposed to be behind him. He shouldn't be fielding rumors about his dad, while also carrying the franchise's PR and fan morale on his shoulders. But he is, and somehow, he's not crumbling. That kind of composure, that's not taught. That's not faked. That's not inherited. That's who he is. And that's what the Browns are playing with. Something incredibly rare. A young quarterback with the right mix of self-awareness, toughness, and calm. The question is whether they'll finally act like they know what they have. Because let's be honest, Shedeur doesn't need saving. The Browns, they need to stop managing optics and start investing in outcomes. They need to stop tiptoeing around the idea of potential and start committing to the process of building something real, something long-term, something that doesn't start over every time the wind changes. And Shedeur Sanders? He's the best shot they've had at that in years. Rich Eisen laid it all out. The maturity, the media savvy, the way Shedeur exposed the cracks in Cleveland's approach. Not by ranting, but by refusing to stoop to their level. He stayed calm. He stayed sharp. And in doing so, he made everyone else look chaotic. So here we are. The Browns have their quarterback. The media has their storyline. And the fans? They finally have someone who looks like he might just be able to weather the storm. The only question left is whether the organization will stop waiting for a meltdown and start building around a leader. If you're watching this and yelling at your screen like the rest of us, hit that like button. Drop a comment. Does Shedeur deserve more credit? Should Cleveland stop playing it safe? And if you're here for more breakdowns, more chaos, more did that really just happen moments, subscribe. Because if there's one thing we know by now, it's that the NFL never sleeps. And neither do the meltdowns.